Advita, and also, special thanks to Debbie to enable this to happen while she's on leave.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't really want to wrap that up because we continue into the panel and there will be again moments of reflection where I think some of the points that Manna and Swapnadeepa raised will also get addressed at least partially, and then continue, of course, the conversations as we move forward. So, Salman, handing it over to you.
Thank you, Tanishta. So, this survey that you all took over the past 8-9 days, this was a very interesting exercise, especially going through the results of it, because while one had hoped to be able to parse through a common thread through a lot of the responses, we realized again the need for a strategy to sort of streamline that, and the other thing being that the specifics of how you address violence against women and children in respective states reflected very strongly in the exercise. So there are very few questions where essentially we drew a thread that was sort of common to all, but for the most we sort of had very varying responses. Just to go through this question, what are the sub-themes under ending violence that your advocacy activities have addressed in your respective states? I think this gave us a general sort of universe picture of the keywords that we do know populate this landscape. So we know that more or less all the things we talk about are being addressed in some states or the other. When we went to the next question, which was who are the stakeholders that you primarily engaged for advocacy to end violence, all of you who took the survey responded that you'd worked expectedly with civil society and with children, adolescents and youth. All but one had worked with education institutions in academia. There was a high level of engagement among those who responded with law enforcement as well as media. A healthy amount of engagement with elected representatives with over 50% of respondents. And then there was lower level of engagement with other groups, which included women's groups, faith leaders, and content developers, which essentially is a showcase that an advocacy strategy will be able to help us increase engagement with those audiences, with those groups. One of the more important questions was what are the challenges and barriers that prevent or limit the progress of EVOC advocacy in your state. Now this is very interesting because while 18 responses came, the most I could parse together in terms of to see what was the majority response came to 8. So 8 responses said that the lack of political will was the primary barrier. Then of course, which was followed by sensitivity. So the sensitivity of these issues in the prevailing political environment making us tread more cautiously on these issues. Another interesting response was the poor capacities of stakeholders, which I believe, on sort of going in detail through your responses, is influenced by both poor political will as well as the next answer, which is social norms. So even among stakeholders, if there is poor understanding, poor will, and a lack of knowledge, that sort of influences the effectiveness of working on ending violence. Then of course there was the resources and the lack of intersectoral convergence was one of the few more responses that I found that more than one respondent had given. When we came to what is the support that is required the most to take it forward, the largest number of you out of those polled spoke about the activities such as the development of content packages, materials, the design and rollout of campaigns for advocacy on ending violence, as well as the capacity building of various categories of stakeholders. Of course, the focus